Here are the top 10 most expensive wheat pennies ever sold. By the time that collecting by both date and mint mark had become the de facto standard in the mid-1930s and onwards, the 1914 D wheat cent had already been languishing in circulation for nearly 2 decades. Its already low mintage of 1,193,000 coins slipping under the radar for most until it was already too late to secure a gem-level coin with original mint luster from pocket change. This example managed to survive though, graded by PCGS as MS66 Plus Red, and at auction in 2018 it was sold for $158,625. The matte-proof coins from the early 20th century was an attempt by the mint to give collectors something different, but they were so different in appearance from the regular, mirror-like finish proof coins that they were not very popular at the time of release. Over the 8 years that they were actually made, mintages steadily decreased towards the end. Today, however, those low mintages make them much more sought after, such as this example from 1910 that was graded by PCGS as Proof 68 Red and at auction was able to close for $165,937 in 2022. The 1922 penny was only to be minted at the Denver Mint in this particular year, but as time went on, a few coins were noticed that were missing the telltale D mint mark for Denver. As it turns out, a single obverse die was damaged and then polished at the mint to such a degree that the customary D mint mark was actually removed by mistake. Today, the 1922 No D strong reverse cent is a constant favorite for collectors, and is rarely seen with original red color, like this MS64 Red example from PCGS that was able to secure a final price of $253,125 at auction in 2023. Now it's time for the best-known variety coin in the Lincoln series, regardless of the reverse design type, the 1955 double-die obverse Lincoln cent, a coin that has the absolute widest spread and resultant doubling on the obverse, with the date and all of the letters doubled to such a degree that it is visible to the naked eye, as all letters and numbers achieve full separation. This example was graded by PCGS as MS65 Plus Red, and at auction in 2023 it was sold for $287,156. Then, at around the halfway mark or so, we come to the 1909 S VDB wheat cent, the coin that holds the distinction for being the lowest mintage issue in the entire series, at merely 484,000 coins minted. The coin is one of the few made at the San Francisco Mint before they removed the VDB initials from the reverse design. Graded by PCGS as MS67 Red, this eye-catching beauty sold at auction in 2023 for $345,375. The 1909 VDB Lincoln cent matte-proof coin is, without a doubt, the scarcest of the early matte-proof coins today. However, why that is the case is not exactly clear. The mintage of 1,194 coins is not the smallest in the matte-proof run, as the 1916 and 15 both have smaller mintages and yet remains more obtainable today. This Lincoln cent is graded by PCGS as Proof 67 Plus Red, and at auction in 2022 it was sold for the sum of $365,625. The next coin is a prime example of a conditional rarity, as the 1919 penny has a record high mintage of 392 million coins, a record that would not be broken until 1940. It is not considered by any means a rare coin today. However, This example is the sole finest, not only for the 1919, but at a grade of MS69 red, it is, as far as I'm aware, the only wheat penny to get that lofty grade from PCGS. So, put simply, that puts bragging rights on the line for the owner of this coin. And at auction in 2023, it was sold for $421,875. Even though technically the next coin is an error coin, it has also so firmly entrenched itself into the lexicon of American coin collecting that A, assuming that you can find one, and B, you can actually afford one, it could be considered as a part of a complete Lincoln penny series. This is the 1943 copper penny. Technically a wrong planchet error, as this was struck on the copper, or again, technically bronze, planchets left over from the previous year, and not the intended zinc-coated steel coins from 1943. This coin is the only known example from the Denver Mint, graded as MS64 brown, and at public auction in 2021, it was sold for $840,000. Though the same coin was also sold via private tree thief in a special deal in 2010 for a reported $1.7 million, with the proceeds being donated to charity. But this same error also took place at all three working mints at the time. This San Francisco Mint example, of which only about 6 or so coins are known to exist, was sold at auction in 2020, graded by PCGS as MS63 brown for $504,000. And then the Philadelphia Mint coin is the most plentiful, if you can even call it that, with about 24 coins extant, this example of which was sold at auction in 2021, graded by PCGS as MS62 brown, which attained a price of $372,000. But then, the same thing also happened again in 1944, only this time the mint was supposed to end production of the steel pennies and resume minting coins exclusively in the regular copper. A few leftover steel planchets then entered the mix by accident. All three working mints were guilty again. This San Francisco Mint coin, the sole finest at a grade of MS66, was sold at auction in 2021 for the amount of $408,000, followed by an example from the Philadelphia Mint, which was slapped again by PCGS as MS64, that sold at auction in 2021 for $180,000. And then finally the Denver Mint, 1944 steel penny that was sold at auction in 2007, then still graded by NGC as MS63 for the sum of $115,000. And then, and by far the most expensive wheat cent ever sold, is the 1958 double-die obverse penny. This coin is oftentimes compared to the famous 1955 variety due to the similar doubling, but the 1958 piece is far scarcer, with only 3 coins like this known to exist. There is very strong doubling on the letters of "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" alike. Of the 3 known examples, 2 are graded as MS64 red, leaving this one as the sole finest known with a grade of MS65 red to sell at auction in 2023 for the amount of $1,136,250. Subscribe to WNN and feel free to watch the top 10 most expensive memorial cent video right here next. For the World Numismatic News, I am Numisman saying thank you for watching, keep collecting, and have a fantastic day.